Call to order for a Watertown City Council meeting for August 19th of 2024. Please rise while Councilman Shuddy leads us in prayer.
Most Heavenly Father, this is a new day for us to gather the life and breath that you give us, the families you put us in, this community that you've put us in, Lord. There's many here tonight. There's items on this agenda, Lord, tonight that we're going to be deciding on and discussing, and we just ask your wisdom, Lord, to guide through these topics, Lord. And in the weeks and months to come, Lord, things that affect lives in this community, I do ask that we humble ourselves before you and pause and look for your wisdom and guidance as we do this process that you've given us, the freedom that we have to do this process, and for people to speak up and share and communicate and work through it. This is for all of us, Lord, to be able to wisely work through and work together as a community. So, Lord, we just thank you for your patience and for your guidance and your wisdom, Lord. So now tonight we just pray this all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Finance Officer Bob Zine, please call the roll.
Okay. Bueller. Bueller.
Here.
Danforth.
Here.
Helene.
Here.
Jurens. Absent. Peters.
Here.
Shuddy.
Here.
Tupper.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. A quorum is established. The chair will entertain a motion to approve tonight's agenda. Motion made by Councilman Tupper. Seconded by Councilman Peters? Sure. All those in favor of adopting the agenda for tonight, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We're on to open forum. This is the time on which anyone who would like to address the council on something that is not on tonight's agenda is invited to do so. I am going to take a little bit of liberty at this time. We have a lot of people here who would like to address the council on something that we thought was going to be on the agenda, which is the issue of childcare or daycare in the community. We were working with different people in town. One of them is no surprise to be the Mother of God Monastery and Sister Barb. And she had to be called out of town for a family issue. So she was not able to come and address the council as a spokesperson of sorts. But I know that there are a lot of other people here who are concerned, not just in this room, but in this community. And I'd like to take a moment to say that as a council, as a city, as an organization, we are also very concerned about this issue. We are aware of it. We are aware of what I would say the issue of childcare is bigger than just one entity, but obviously the one that has made a crisis point is news about Little Blessings going to be closing at some point. We're not exactly sure when. I want to assure the community and those present that the city has been working with Foursquare Church. We have been in communications with the Mother of God Monastery, with Coddington Cares, with the Watertown Development Company, and lots of private individuals, and LATC and the school system. We have had several meetings to discuss it. Obviously, childcare is something that is facing a lot of communities in South Dakota and across the nation, and Watertown is no exception. And we're trying to find a way to address it. I would like to take this opportunity to issue a rallying cry to the community, to every business, to every individual who is concerned about this, to help us partner with the community to come up with a strategy that can work for all of Watertown. Because while Little Blessings is let's say, the crisis point, it's bigger than even just one issue. This is a community-wide issue. The council is very concerned about it because this is an economic development issue. We need people to have good childcare in this community because we need that for our businesses to grow, for our community to prosper. And it's also a quality of life issue because taking care of your children is far and away the most important job of any parent. And that also creates a healthy, vibrant community. So on many ways, the city is aware and very concerned. We are committed to finding a solution. I'll be transparent with you. We don't have one right now. We know it's going to involve some money, but more than that, it's going to require partnership. We need to work with concerned citizens, concerned entities, as we already have. But it's going to take all of us working together, sharing the information, coming up with a strategy that works for the entire community. We are committed to doing that. We have put in a lot of work already, but there's a lot more to come. So I am inviting anyone who wants to help in that process, any business leader, any individual, any entity that can provide some help, work with us. I'm asking for that right now because it's going to take more than just us as a city. We are willing to do our part, but to come up with a community solution, we're going to need community partnership. So we are committed to doing it, issuing a rallying cry, and I want to thank everyone for coming forward to show your concern for this issue. And now I would like to invite, I know that it's coming up, so I would like to invite you up to speak if you would like to. And I do want to acknowledge, I was going to say if there was a spokesman, I just want to acknowledge that the first 2 rows, at least the first 2 rows, are completely filled with people here on this issue. So I want everyone to acknowledge that. So even if you don't want to come up and take the microphone, we acknowledge your presence and your concern on this issue. So. Oh, make sure that the green light is on.
Hi, I'm Kirsten Fisk. I'm the Director of Operations at Little Blessings Daycare Center. I'm sorry if I'm nervous. I was not planning on speaking tonight. I have been at Little Blessings Daycare for 27 years. I have seen it grow and develop into an amazing place, and the outstanding children that we have come and seen grown. I've seen many of them, and they're now in this community doing amazing things for this community. We have parents at Little Blessings Daycare that are major parts of the community to help it grow and thrive as it is, past and present. We are not the only daycare in town. We have Educare too, but Educare cannot carry the crisis on their own. We need help. Little Blessings Daycare currently has around 150 children enrolled, around 40 staff enrolled, and a waiting list to over and beyond. We have several scared parents. They don't know if they're going to be going to work if Little Blessings Daycare closes, because there is nowhere for their children to go. The most major crisis is those newborns all the way up to 3-year-olds. We have preschool facilities available, some others that are opening up. School age, there's becoming more opportunities. But Educare and Little Blessings Daycare, besides home daycares, are the only place for those children 3 and under. So just to acknowledge that. So if we want this community to continue to thrive and new families to come into this community, we need childcare. If people are going to stop having children, and that's going to not help the community thrive either. We are a big necessity in this community, not just Little Blessings, but all childcare. The one thing that I would say with Harmony Hill, why it's a benefit, is it's already been approved. It's already gone through the red tape. They're ready to swing that hammer. If we look at another facility, you have to start back at square one. There's a lot of regulations and red tape to go through to create and start a daycare facility. I would love to talk to any of the council members if they want to have a better understanding on childcare, because I will say childcare is a whole world of itself and an understanding of what needs to actually happen to make it a success. Do you have any questions for me?
Thank you, but during the open forum, we don't have interplay between the council and the public, and that's basically to protect the integrity. But I'd be more than happy to invite anyone else up to speak. We have several more minutes on the issue that you can speak. I did want to point out something. If someone doesn't know the reference to Harmony Hill, the Mother of God Monastery is willing to step up and provide a location for Little Blessings to transfer to. It just is going to require some infrastructure improvements, and that's one of the things that we have been working with the sisters on. And it's not just us. We've, had conversations with others to make the money available and to provide what we can from a city perspective. So just in case someone didn't know what that was out in the public. Would anyone else like to come and take the microphone?
Hi, my name is Dawn Morris, and I'm here a little bit different capacity. I don't obviously have any littles at the daycare, but I do have a daughter that works there, and she's been there for 3 years, and she absolutely loves her job. I guess from my standpoint, I'm here to kind of just ask you emphatically to please be a part of this process and do what you can as a council to help push this along. As you said, Mayor Holeen, there's a lot of different entities that are involved in this process, and my daughter is extremely passionate about this. Almost every day, I come home and we talk on the phone, or she stops over to our house and is telling me the things that are going on and how frustrated she is because there's maybe not the best information that's been provided to her, and not out of them not wanting to, it's just that there's too many things going on and the information is sporadic and maybe not 100% correct. But as Kirsten said, daycare is such a vital, important thing in our community, and we absolutely, if we want to attract young families to come here and help our community grow, we have to have a solid basis for childcare because people want to have children, they want to raise a family, they want to live in a great community called Watertown and experience all the wonderful things that we have to offer. So I realize 100% that in this moment you don't have a solution and that you're committed to trying to help find one. I guess I just implore you that really be something that's high on the list of priorities, because I think this matter is truly, truly important. I hate to think of my daughter, you know what, if something happens, she can get a job. She's a smart young woman. She's very hardworking. I'm not worried about her finding a different job. I'm worried about her finding at 22 years old a job that she loves as much as she loves this one. If at 22 years old we could have all been doing our dream job and doing what she's doing, wow, we would be lucky. And then on top of that, we have all these littles that are going to be plucked out of an environment that they know and hopefully placed somewhere else where they can feel safe and warm and loved and all those things that Little Blessings does for them. So I guess my comments are less factual and just more pleading that we really, really put the importance on this that it truly deserves. So.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak?
Good evening, Eric Rice. I have a son at Little Blessings and can really only speak to my experience here. Moved to Watertown about 7 years ago, and as we had our son, we looked a lot of different places to be able to find childcare. And even at the time, he's going to be 4 here in September, but it was a struggle to find care. We feel really blessed that we were able to get into Little Blessings at the time. A lot of that, I think, had to do with COVID and just timing. But it's a broad thing for the community. Even now, I see a lot of people looking for childcare, especially with the recent public opinion articles stating that Little Blessings is really looking at potentially closing if we can't get to a roadmap to look at getting the funding needed, right? So with that, just seeing that, talking to the parents, there's a lot of concern, and there's some of the stuff that, if we can find some way to help expand childcare in this community, it's going to help us with bringing in new people for jobs, ourselves, we've looked at what other communities do we move to, or does one of us stop working? Those are really tough type of things, especially when you're established in your careers and things like that. But are things that I believe every family is looking at, and not just within Little Blessings. So what I would say is there's some really great benefits that we've seen. The big thing is just flexible hours. Where I work, people start work anywhere from 4:30 and then all the way until like 11 o'clock at night. So not everyone can go to an in-home daycare and still be able to work those hours. So that limits your ability to find a job, which creates people looking elsewhere. And then just the level of care that we get is something that's really appreciated. And if you have children that have any type of special needs or anything like that, special requirements, they're able to accommodate that. So I guess my plea to the board here is that we work together towards a roadmap to expanding childcare in Watertown. Is it Harmony Hill? Is it Little Blessings? What is it? But it is an issue in the community that I really do feel needs to be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rice. Councilman Tupper just leaned over and said something to me that maybe would help. And I apologize to a lot of the people in the audience tonight that I did receive a lot of emails late last week upon this issue, and I haven't had the time to devote to answering all of those emails. The council is with me. We have all gotten a lot of emails, and I just want to say, I'm sorry if we haven't had the time to reply to you. Part of that is we're trying to figure out concrete information as well to pass along, and we don't want to be part of the problem by over-promising or giving out false information or incorrect that we don't know. There's a lot of unknowns going on right now, as Mrs. Fisk mentioned when we were talking about before the meeting. We're just trying to figure it out, and I think step one is going to be we need to get everyone together and figure out what is concrete information and move forward. I would like to even address Little Blessings closing, but I don't want to speak for the church where Little Blessings is operating out of. I know that they have issues that they have to face, and I don't want to add to the misinformation by saying anything. All I can say is that we're aware of it, and from the city perspective, we are committed to working on finding a solution. We have just a little bit more time if anyone else would like to address the council.
Hi, my name is Daisy Jurgens. My family and I live here in town. I've got 2 kids, a going to be 2-year-old and a 3-month-old. And I remember, I just want to speak on how hard it is to find childcare in Watertown. Because if you're not in the game, I understand that it's kind of out of mind. When we were looking for daycare for our son Baylor, we found out we were pregnant and we were looking for daycare 4 days after. And I could find Little Blessings a year from then would have an opening, and the next closest opening would be when he would be 18 months old. I work at a small business here in town. They are so gracious to let me take leave with my young ones. But of course they want me back and working also. So Little Blessings was really our only option for our son to find care. And again, our daughter is going to be 3 months here starting next week at daycare. And without daycare for them, I would probably have no job. I'd have to stay home. And I think that that's the story for a lot of families here. We have lots of parents that are healthcare professionals and emergency personnel and small business owners. And I want people to understand the ripple effect that could be if Little Blessings were to close. We heard about this back in May, the potential of moving out to Harmony Hill and the gracious donation that the monastery is putting up here. And we started looking for other options then, just in case. And I cannot even find care for my 2-year-old. And we all know that it's hard under 2 because there's so limited spots, but after 2 it starts to get a little bit easier, and I still can't even find care for him. And I know for my 3-month-old that it's probably not going to be care until she's at least 1. But I want people to understand where so many parents are at right now. and why it's such a big need. In-homes are full too, and Little Blessings is such a great place. The hours are great, and the staff truly do care. So I just want people to understand. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jurgens. Commissioner Van Dusen?
I'll sit down here. Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, City Manager Mack, members of the council, Troy Van Dusen, Cottington County Commission. I just wanted to let you know that last Tuesday, we had a fantastic presentation by Sister Barb at the monastery at our county commission meeting. She came in and gave us a lot of good information. That is also on our radar at the county level, and we look forward to partnering with the city and businesses to assist in finding a solution for this. So I want you to know that we are aware of the problem as well, and we are looking forward to finding a resolution to this as well from the county standpoint. We've always had a good working relationship between city and county, and we look forward to continuing that with the city. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right, we do need to kind of wind this up, but if there is someone else who would like to address the council?
I'll sit too, I think works better here. So my name is Sam Melgren. I actually live in Webster, so about 45 minutes northeast of here. My wife is works in town and she commutes every day or 3-4 days a week, I guess. And she brings our 3-year-old and 9-month-old with her to go to Little Blessings. She was working in Webster. One of the main reasons we ended up coming down here was it was the only place we could find daycare in the area for our now 9-month-old. So it really does hit home. We're very thankful for being able to be in the center, and it's been a blessing for our family. I do have a little bit of business mindset myself, so I've taken some initiatives to make some calls to the New Horizons Academy, which is a corporate daycare based out of the Twin Cities. We grew up in the Twin Cities, watched them do very well. They're all over. And I started asking myself questions. How can they make it work? What does it take? So I ended up talking to their VP of real estate and asked him some questions. He told me some of the criteria that they look for when trying to bring a daycare into a facility or into a community. And quite frankly, I don't know that Watertown hits that mark from a gross income per household and a few other different metrics. However, they looking at their website, there was a community of 10,000 people in Pella, Iowa. And there was a New Horizons Academy. And I'm going, how can a community of 10,000 people support a New Horizons Academy, but yet a town of 25,000 is struggling to keep centers open? What does it take? So I started asking more questions. In Pella, Iowa, which I'm sure everybody's familiar with Pella Windows took made the donation of providing a building and the remodeling for New Horizons Academy to operate out of. So I want to say thank you to the Mother Barb for making the donation with the facility. However, I did call them, and I know like in the cities, they plan for $350, $400 a week for an average 3-year-old, which is a lot of money. So I was like, well, what does Pella charge? And for an infant, they charge $277 a week and up to $214 for a 5-year-old. And they're running from anywhere from 140 to 145 kids. And they're making a little bit of money, but that's with the donation of the real estate and the taxes and the operating costs of the building. So we need to really partner as a community to make this work and still keep childcare affordable. And I think that's what everyone really needs to evaluate, because you look at it, there's probably $150 a week per kid gap in operating costs for what people can afford or are willing to spend versus what it actually takes to truly operate and own the real estate. So I think that's just it's some interesting numbers that we have to be ready to spend money on our childcare if we truly want a education-based childcare. Thank you.
Thank you. I didn't get your name, I'm sorry.
Sam Melgren from Webster.
How do you spell the last name?
Mellgren.
All right, thank you. All right, we do need to wind it up, but I understand this is very important, so if anyone else would like to address the council, you are invited to do so.
Good evening. My name is Chelsea Hadenfield, and my husband and I moved here about 2 years ago, and we have our two youngest children at Little Blessings. They're 2 and 1. And one of the primary criteria for us moving to this community was the ability for us to find childcare. We work at the hospital, and we accepted jobs there on the condition that we'd be able to find childcare. And we had some wonderful connections at the hospital, and everybody that we met said that Little Blessings was the cream of the crop. They were the best center in town. And if they didn't have any openings, they gave us a list of in-homes that we could try, and we were very appreciative to have that kind of leg up. At the time that we moved here, there was a waiting list for Little Blessings, and we ended up putting our names on it, and it took us a year before we were able to get in because of their popularity and how much families in this community love that daycare. It's not just that it's a daycare center that could accept their kid, but they stay there because they provide excellent care. And our kids are happy every day that they come home from daycare. They have enjoyed their time there. Our son gives his teachers a hug every day. And you can tell that he really cares for that place. And I want to speak to the importance of finding a daycare that's not only affordable, right, but that our kids love as much as they love Little Blessings. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would there be anyone else who would like to address the council? And I just want to point out to any business, any other entity watching, some of the emotion that you're seeing in these people. This is what real life is in Watertown. This is how important this issue is. So one of the reasons why I'm issuing that rallying cry to help. So if there's no one else who would like to address us on that issue, I'd ask, is there anyone else who would like to address the council on another issue that is not on tonight's agenda? All right, I will close the open forum. City Manager Mack has an announcement she would like to make.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd actually like to turn it over to Assistant City Manager and Public Works Director. He has an introduction to make to all of you.
Director.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Manager. With us in the crowd here this evening is our new airport manager. Ian, if you could come up to the podium, please. Ian Merriweather joins us from Portland, Maine. He was out there for a stint performing duties as the operations supervisor at the airport out in Portland, Maine. Prior to that, he had spent a couple years out in Rapid City as an operations specialist at the airport for the Rapid City Regional Airport. And he comes to us with a bachelor's in business administration with an emphasis in airport management, and is working towards AAAE certification and all the other acronyms and things of that nature that are in the aviation industry. With that, I'll pass it off to Ian and let him give a brief intro of himself or add anything to it that the council may be interested in hearing.
Hello, how is everyone doing today? My introduction on an emotionally charged day, clearly, he said it pretty well. I grew up in Seattle and had a passion for aviation and aerospace. Found my way over to UND. First job out of college, Rapid City, and kind of got, wouldn't say a promotion, but transferred up to Portland, Maine for operations supervisor, and actually, have always loved this area of the country. UND has a very special place in my heart. A lot of my friends from college still live in Fargo and Grand Forks area, so it's really it's a positive thing in my life to get back to this area, and it truly is home. As I was driving here, the words came over Google, "Welcome to South Dakota," and the feelings just washed over me. I'm so blessed to be back in this area of the country. So any questions anybody has for me, please feel free. This is the first one of these I've ever done, so I'm a little nervous.
Not even sure. City Manager Mack, did you have anything? But we welcome you. Thank you so much. And I know I, for one, am partial to this part of the country and this city in particular, so we're happy to have you here.
We are very happy to have him here, even though he went to UND. We try not to hold that against him too much. It is day one. We'll see how that goes as we get further along into this. But we are excited to have Ian on board. The airport has some very exciting things happening, and we trust that he's going to be able to help take that to the next level and just continue to enhance the services that are provided out there. So welcome, and don't be a stranger to these meetings. They're very fun.
I'm sure we will see you back at one of these pretty soon.
Many times, yes,
Yes.
yes.
But thank you very much. Thank you for coming to Watertown.
Thank you very much, everyone. Appreciate it.
I will say for everyone here who was talking about the Little Blessings issue, the council might bring this up at the end of the meeting. That's the time for council to bring up something if they still wanted to talk about it. But as for right now, we're moving on from that topic. So if you wanted to go, if you had somewhere else that you needed to be, you sure can leave. You don't have to stay here for the parts that don't interest you. So that's up to you. Next up on the agenda is going to be a strategic planning presentation from the Watertown Convention and Visitors Bureau.
All right, hello. I'll start things off. Good evening. My name is Jeremy Herbold. I'm the board chairperson for Visit Watertown. Some of you might know that as Convention Visitors Bureau, but I've been on Visit Watertown board for 6 years now, and this is my second year as chairperson. I'll run through our board members just so you know who's on the board, including Julie Rannum, Jamie Erickson, Mike Fairchild, Julie Stevenson, Josh Mogg, Josh Cleveland, Jamie Mack, Brittany Scott, and City of Watertown Liaison, Mayor Reed Holeen. In my 6 years on the board, we have seen many changes and some very exciting things that have transpired over that time frame. Our strategic planning recently has been a great thing, has been a valuable tool for us to kind of look ahead and see where we should be going and what we should be doing as a board and an organization. And what we want to do is keep Watertown, the city in South Dakota, as always talked about, and a place that visitors want to come to, spend their money and stay and partake in all of the fun we have in this great community. I always point to the Rooster Rush as a very good experience of that with people that come into the community for hunting and for pheasant hunting, and they come from all over the country, and they always say about the hospitality here in Watertown and why they always come back is because of the people and how we treat people. So also at the Visit Watertown, from helping conventions, youth sports, bringing them to Watertown for events, filling hotel beds, and making our restaurants happy and keeping the incoming to the city. That's one of the big things we do. And one thing sometimes that we hear about and why we're here tonight is what does Visit Watertown do? So that's why Angelica is here. So I would like to introduce her, Angelica Youthy, our Executive Director of Visit Watertown. Angelica will be in her third year with our organization, second year as Executive Director. She hit the ground running and has done some great things within the organization, and she's going to tell you more about Visit Watertown. So Angelica, take it away.
Cool. Thanks, Jeremy. And I just want to say thanks to Jeremy and our entire CVB board. They've been great supporting me. And thanks, Reed, for the opportunity to speak tonight. It's been quite a while since our organization has been in front of the council and our city leaders. So happy to be here and share a little bit more about our organization and what we're up to. I'm a born and raised Watertown girl too, so talking about being partial to South Dakota in this neck of the woods hits home to me as well. And I'm so thankful for the opportunity to get to promote my hometown every day. The goal of today's presentation is really to be informational and just highlight some of the things that came about from our strategy planning and share the strategic direction we have moving forward. We worked with Young Strategies, which is a company that focuses primarily on small destinations like Watertown, and they do a lot of research and travel-related planning. Within this, we did the Destination Next survey, which many in the room took, so thank you for participating in that. It really helps provide a strategic roadmap for us and the next generation of destination organizations, identifies trends and measures destination strength and community alignment, which Watertown, through our survey and the 100-plus leaders that took it, we ranked above average in destination strength and community alignment, so that was really cool to see. And in addition to that, we also did a lot lodging market analysis to really understand the hotels in our market and what we have to work with when we're promoting and selling Watertown every day. So who is Visit Watertown? We are the Convention and Visitors Bureau. We do business as Visit Watertown, so when you see us on social media, we are Visit Watertown, but Watertown Convention and Visitors Bureau is the same thing. We are the official destination marketing organization for Watertown, essentially an advertising and promotion agency. We can be seen as the marketing arm for the city of Watertown. Our mission is to market, promote, and attract visitors to Watertown to stimulate the economic development and growth for the community. We are focused on the dynamic growth of the travel industry to really support a high-quality lifestyle here in Watertown. As you may know, we are funded by a portion of the third penny sales tax. And in addition, we are also responsible for overseeing the administration of the Watertown Business Improvement District. And if you're not familiar with that, the bid was created in 2008 and includes the hotel properties in Watertown, which have more than 25 rooms. Those hotels collect a $2 per room per night occupancy tax, which then goes into the bid. And then these funds are used to help enhance the marketing and promotion of different events and visitor facilities in towns that benefit the city, and then the hotels and motels within the city. They are overseen by a separate board made up of the local hoteliers that represent the bid district. In addition, they have a bid grant that is available to be applied for throughout the year for various events and activities to kind of help kickstart those things. They're usually granted based on hotel nights that are brought to town through those events. With the bid funding, we also use this to help secure various conferences and various tournaments throughout the year to help be the winning city when we're competing against others in the region. Our vision overall is to promote Watertown as a year-round destination. We have a lot of great attractions, facilities, both indoor and outdoor, sports, conferences and meetings. And the vision is that this is for visitors and residents alike to view Watertown as a destination. We're really working to become a community shared value and promote the importance of destination promotion. It really benefits our entire community and is an essential investment. The more we can market and sell Watertown, the more we'll start to see return in the form of increased tax revenue. So a little, meet our team. We're an office of 3. Our work is diverse. We create and implement marketing campaigns. This past May, you may have seen the 605 May road trip issue. We had a hand in that, and we were so excited to promote everything Watertown has going. That saw 60,000 impressions. We've recently partnered with Travel South Dakota and received some ARPA dollar campaigns, or money for a campaign, which we're focusing on our meeting events in town and our air service. We manage Visit Watertown social media and the Visit Watertown SD website, which in 2023 saw 216,000 unique users. We recently took over the creation and distribution of the Watertown visitor guide and relocation guide, which gets handed out to anybody that requests a visitor guide on our website. We get calls a lot. In addition, many conferences ask for visitor bags. They get those. And then a lot of businesses in town utilize those for their new hire prospects. We have a strong partnership with Travel South Dakota, Glacial Lakes and Prairies Tourism Association. We work to connect our industry partners through monthly hospitality meetings, managing and distributing tourism literature. We oversee many marketing assets and getting new great photos of Watertown and videos that we share with our local partners. We are actively bidding conferences and conventions to bring to town. In addition, we host travel writers quite frequently to help increase our assets. So overall, we're committed to promoting Watertown as a year-round destination to drive increased visitation in the off-season months, maintain peak demand period visitation, longer lengths of stay, increase their spending per travel party, and overall increase the visitor satisfaction. We really feel that through all of the promotion that we do, that we're really a driver in economic growth as the visitors we attract are spending money in our local economy, mainly benefiting visitor-facing industries such as hotels, restaurants, and entertainment venues. we're competing with every other community in our region for our share of attention. So the funding we receive really keeps us competitive, which is why the need for our work is so important. The travel industry and travel and tourism industry is the second largest industry in our state. And many may think that Watertown is not seen as a destination because it's not tropical or it's not Disney World, but it's so far from the truth. We are such a heavy destination when it comes to business and youth sports, which we saw from our surveys here, and we already kind of knew that, but it was fun to see that come through. We have amazing sports and meeting facilities. And it's just really important to understand the power of travel and that the travel industry is so diverse. Just some fun facts here, numbers. Many of you did attend our luncheon that we hosted Deputy Secretary of Tourism Wanda Goodman back in May. But in 2023, $109 million were spent in Cottington County from visitors, which made up $8 million in state and local tax revenue, supported more than 1,400 jobs, and more than $48 million in labor income. The next couple slides, which I'll go through pretty quick, but I'm happy to share outside of this meeting if you want to take a look at closer. But these are from the hotel analysis we did, and we'll really be using this information to drive our business development efforts forward. The data comes from Star Data, which is a global accommodations analytics firm. And as you can see here, our market of hotels is primarily economy and mid-scale hotels. We have 12 hotels in our market with just over 800 rooms that collect the lodging tax. In general, in the hotel industry, hotels that are chain hotels typically hit about 40% occupancy just from turning the lights on. So it's really our organization's role to help fill and bridge that gap. We work very closely with our hotel partners. The 12 listed here, of the 12, 11 contribute to our bid. And this just kind of shows the years they were built. The next slide here is the short-term rentals in our area. We found this information really interesting, and it's something that our industry as a whole has been watching. But there's 73 active short-term rental properties as of April in Watertown. 64 of these are entire homes, and many are listed on Airbnb and or VRBO. So this is something we're paying attention to. It ultimately affects the visitor experience, and we just want to have a close relationship with these rentals. Here you'll see the 8-year supply versus demand trend. Our demand prior to 2020 was really trending up, which we're now working to rebuild. But overall, our 8-year occupancy demand has hovered around 60%. So again, we're using this data within our organization to really take a look at this and get that number above 60%. This is probably our favorite one that we're using to move forward, but again, it's from the Star Data. It's a heat map for 2023 occupancy. The higher occupancy is shaded green, and the lower occupancy is shaded red. The dark green is the highest, and the dark red is the lowest. So the off-season months are really an opportunity that we'll be working to turn green, that December through kind of April timeframe. And then just one more slide here on the lodging market analysis. It just kind of breaks down the guests we're seeing in Watertown. About 75% of our visitors that are staying in our hotels are transient, which means they're walking guests, more last minute, maybe not associated with a group, and about 25% of those are from the group conference segment. This data really reinforces that we are a solid business destination, and our organization is going to work to continue to grow this segment. From all of the research we received, and everything compiled together, we have 4 strategic initiatives that we're working towards as an organization. We're working to overall improve the perception of Watertown locally with our residents and our local leaders. We're working to expand the awareness of Watertown among potential visitors as a year-round destination. We're going to be a champion and provide leadership to the Watertown travel industry by addressing issues that hold it back, and we're going to encourage the improvement and expansion of unique activities that provide memorable experiences. And I'm going to close with the work of a destination organization, the Community Vitality Wheel. This stems from a speech by Mara Gast, who is well known in the DMO industry. She's the executive director of Irving, Texas CVB, and it kind of fits with a lot of the conversation that's been had tonight. But if you build a place where people want to visit, then you have built a place where people want to live. And if you built a place where people want to live, then you have built a place where people want to work. And if you built a place where people want to work, then you have built a place where business and residents will invest. And if you built a place where business and residents will invest, then you have built a place where people will want to visit. So I just think that's really powerful, and I thank you guys for allowing me to speak tonight. And that kind of wraps up our presentation. Tried to keep it quick and to the point, and our office is right next to the chamber, so come see me anytime.
All right, we're going to take this opportunity. I know you don't come before council very often, and I would allow anyone on the council to ask a question. I think City Manager Mack would like to start it off.
Thank you. That was a great presentation. I have a question about the bid.
Yeah.
Okay, so you said that those that are contributing to the bid are 25 rooms or more.
Right.
Is that a self-imposed rule, if you will, or is that set by statute?
So the bid is technically a city ordinance, and it was set back in 2008.
Okay. Well, my question ties into like VRBOs and Airbnbs.
Right.
So we've had some discussions internally, like do we collect the pillow tax
We
on
don't.
those? And currently we don't. So if I'm understanding correctly, in order to do that, it would require this body to change an ordinance.
Right, yep. And there is some discussion, I would say, at the state level. Hasn't made a lot of progress yet, but there's, throughout the state, the same conversations are being had.
Sure. Did you share, and if you did, I apologize for missing it, what's the annual revenue from the bid?
I did not share that.
Okay, do you know it?
Off the top of my head, I don't. I don't want to
Okay.
misspeak.
No, that's fine. I'd be interested in that. And then my last question is, kind of like we have enterprise funds that contribute to our general fund. Does the bid contribute to the overall budget of the CVB?
Yes.
Okay.
Last year it was 40,000.
Okay,
Otherwise, their budget is separate.
sure. Thank you.
Yep.
Councilman Peters.
Thank you. Great presentation, guys. Thank you. Amanda kind of hit on this already, but by your definition, you're saying that Airbnbs hurt the Visit Watertown side? Are in your guys' eyes, are they good or bad?
They can be good.
Experience.
I think
Okay.
there's an opportunity there to better partner so that we can promote Watertown more.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Councilman Beeler.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Nice presentation. Just a few questions, if you would. How many conventions do you suppose we attend, that you folks attend, on an annual basis?
Here in town.
No, anywhere.
Oh, that we go to.
Maybe say out of town.
Oh, sure. So I would say the last couple years, I've been with the organization 3. We went to the Travel and Adventure Show, and then we go to Pheasant Fest to promote Watertown. And then we've also done a few, like, it's called small market meetings, where it's basically you meet with meeting planners to try and get them to come here. So I would say 2 to 3 is kind of what we average.
Okay, and then how do you promote the lakes here? What do you do to promote the lakes?
There's definitely a lot more opportunity there. I would say through our Travel South Dakota partnership and our co-op there is where our lakes are most promoted. And that's a lot of regional efforts. So a lot of what we do, you guys don't necessarily see because we're not marketing to you to visit Watertown. But most of the lake promotion is done through Travel South Dakota, and we're definitely working to do more of that.
Okay, just a couple more if I could, Mayor. And of course, I saw you have Josh on your board, Josh Mogg.
Oh, yes.
And I'm assuming he kind of helps with the tournament side of it?
Yes, yep.
So are we working hard to try to coordinate the tournaments through the various facilities that the city has? Do we put a lot of effort into that to try to bring people in, bring tournaments in? You know, go to the state and say, hey, some of these state tournament places and try to drag them into Watertown?
Yeah, we work very closely with Josh, and then I would say in addition, we do a lot with USA Softball. We do a lot bidding for like those types of tournaments. Again, a lot of room for opportunity to fill in the gaps there too. Josh does a great job of filling the facilities, and there's only a few open weekends, but yeah.
Great. That's good to hear.
I would interject the North Star Athletic Association. It's a college entity for like NAI schools. We were here in Watertown, which I'm sure you probably knew, we were hosting their championship finals for multiple years in basketball and golf, and we've done some other volleyball as well, but they have actually disbanded. So we did lose that, and that was a lot of effort on you guys putting that together.
And then just one other one. Is there any intention to work with the new hockey team, the Shamrocks?
Yes, so we actually just had a meeting with Ryan on Thursday. So we've been having a lot of meetings like that with different, partners to see how we can best promote those things together and make sure our assets and our dollars are being well spent together.
Okay. And I have one last question. I'm curious. What are the two top draws to Watertown, in your opinion?
I would say outdoor experiences in general, whether that be the lakes and the trails, and then the downtown. I think the downtown has been providing. The downtown, like revitalization in the Foundation Plaza, and just the events surrounding that have been big.
And one last thing, Mayor. Do we promote fishing here much?
I would say from our office, not as much as we should. Regionally, through Glacial Lakes and Prairies, yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. And you touched upon outdoor experience. I remember in the initial presentation, I completely did not understand how outdoor experiences were the top thing or the top draw to bring people into communities. So I know we have our Parks and Rec Director, Rodick, back there. Disc golf brings a lot of people in. The ice arena is indoors, but that will draw a lot of people. So everything that we can do, it's not just for quality of life, it's economic development, and it's good for the city's coffers as well. Yep. And it's great when we can bring people in. I know the softball complex has been doing a great job bringing people in, and hopefully work with the ice arena as well, so. Yeah, Councilman?
Just thinking about it too with the advent of the ice arena, curling was one of the things that we were kind of looking at developing, and I don't know if that would be a part of your purview.
So Lindsay, who's on our staff, is actually on the board for the curling club that is working to be formulated. So that is in the works. Yep. And then I would add to Reed's point, even pickleball is that stuff is growing, and there's tournaments all the time, and those things bring people to town. So we look at all of those things too, and we try to partner with groups, and especially with the bid grant available, if we can link it to hotel rooms, we like to promote that too, and get people aware of that. A lot of people aren't aware that that's out there.
Thank you. Any other, Councilman Danforth?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a curiosity question. How do we gauge ourselves against other similar types communities in regards to our success, our numbers in comparison?
I would say just comparing, and again, I personally probably haven't looked at it as close as I should, but just looking at our third penny sales tax, we like to compare those because that's how we're all funded, and then just overall occupancy.
Generally, how do we compare? Are we average?
I would say we're in line, for sure. Yep.
Actually, in the State of the City presentation, Watertown's BBB tax, which is basically the barometer, I think, we actually exceed every other community of like size in eastern South Dakota. What's that? So, I mean, bed, booze, and board. So it's like, if you're using that as a barometer, Watertown actually exceeds the other communities.
Yep.
Any further comments, questions? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Item 9A is an approval of a change order to the pickleball facility with Timmons Construction for an increase in roughly $61,000 and authorizing the city manager to sign the MOU for the cost sharing of the project between the city and the Pickleball Association. Assistant City Manager Von Eye or City Manager Mack, which one of you wants to take it?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, we do have a change order in place here for the pickleball project. Timely discussion with the mention of all the community activities. Of course, we have this project underway here recently. The contractors recently broke ground. Upon the design and bidding of that contract, it was quickly realized there were a few amenities that we wanted to add to that work, which included a water service line for, primarily for a drinking fountain to be installed, and then also some electrical work and installation of some lights on one of the court areas. That's essentially what this change order is for, and with its approval, we'll give the inked change order back to the contractor, and they'll get that work plugged in a sequential manner that makes sense with the rest of the work on site.
Director Rodick, did you want to add anything? All right. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the change order and authorize the signing of the MOU. Motion made by Councilman Schutte, seconded by Councilman Bueller. Open it up for questions and comments. Councilman Tupper.
These are all things that we talked about when we approved the original bid, right? To go back and check on the prices of this. Okay, thank you.
Any further questions, comments? Hearing none, the motion is to approve the change order and authorize the signing of the MOU. Finance Officer Bob Zine, please call the roll. If you're in favor, say yes. Opposed, no.
Okay, Bueller,
Yes.
Danforth,
Aye.
Helene,
Aye.
Peters,
Aye.
Shetty,
Aye.
Tupper,
Yes.
motion carries.
Motion carries. Item 9B is an approval of a change order for the Airport T-Hanger Foundation with Castle Rock Construction for an increase of $91,000 roughly. So, Director Von Eye.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the airport T-hangers that occurred, that went through some wind damage here a couple years ago. We've had a project in the works to reconstruct those. That's since been underway this construction season. We did execute 2 separate construction contracts. This one is related specifically to the concrete work and the foundation replacement of those T-hangers at the airport. So this is a final change order to Castle Rock Construction for that concrete work. It is an addition of nearly $91,000, primarily for the replacement of the floor slabs. It was discovered through the construction that previous construction practices of those facilities were needing to be upgraded and replaced. And so this work helped accomplish that. It included the removal of the old floor systems and floor slabs and constructed new concrete flooring to tie into the new foundations work that Castle Rock had already performed. This project, along with the T-hangers themselves, are funded in part by insurance and/or FEMA dollars because of the storm damage that occurred. And so I believe a majority, if not all of this, is covered by one or the other FEMA or insurance at little to no cost to the city. So with that, I'll stand by for any questions.
Thank you. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the change order. Motion made by Councilman Peters, seconded by Councilman Bueller. Open it up for questions and comments. Councilman Peters?
Got a question for you, Mr. Von Eye. When do we know for the insurance and the FEMA funding?
Well, I think that's known, just not by me, so I apologize.
Oh, okay, all right. Go ahead, Chris.
Yes, we've already received all the funds,
We
so
have,
this
okay.
project's completely covered.
It is all
Yep,
covered.
yep.
Okay, makes it easy.
Besides our deductible for the whole storm, it was the windstorm that came through. So we had to pay our deductible, but there was other damage throughout the city. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further questions or comments? Councilman Tupper?
No.
All right. Hearing none, the motion is to approve the change order. All those in favor will say aye, opposed nay. Officer Bob Zine?
Okay, Bueller? Danforth?
Aye.
Helene?
Aye.
Peters?
Aye.
Shetty?
Aye.
Tupper?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Item 9C is an approval of a bid award for a new Ford F-350 pickup to Sioux Falls Ford in the amount of roughly $72,000. Director Von Eye.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This is a routine vehicle purchase for the city because it exceeds $50,000 in expense. We are required by state statute to bid this vehicle. The reason it's a little spendier on the costlier side is because it is a heavier duty work truck with a utility box and other appurtenances that are added on through the bidding. essentially, this vehicle is for the sign and signal technicians to use throughout the city. So as you can imagine, they're oftentimes hauling fence posts, signage, traffic signal control cabinet equipment, and things of that nature. So we want it set up appropriately so that it minimizes run time back and forth from the shop, and crews are able to show up on site where there's an issue and address it accordingly. So with that bid that was sent out with all the specifications, we received a handful of bids back, 4 of them in total, and the lowest bidder was Sioux Falls Ford to the tune of $71,832. The next low bidder was Watertown Ford at $79,714. I did want to point out that while staff is making the recommendation to go with Sioux Falls Ford because they are the low bidder, each and every bid except for the highest bid had some technical anomalies within their bids. And doing some research with the city attorney, learning what latitude we have as a purchasing agent, we can forego some technical anomalies. The one that Sioux Falls Ford had is that they did not include a bid bond with their bid. There's an attachment in the council packet that walks through all the anomalies that each and every bidder had. Some of them didn't address some of the technical lighting specifications that we wanted for the safety lighting on this vehicle. And like I said, with the exception of the highest bidder, who was over budget at nearly $87,000, each and every bid had some discrepancy or another. Each one of those discrepancies, according to state statute, as long as it's not affecting the overall price or integrity of the bid from carrying out a contract, the purchasing agent, being the city, can move forward with their bids. We don't feel that for a project like this, not having a bid bond by Sioux Falls Ford compromises or puts us at risk in entering into a contract with them. We also learned through this process that it's not very common that other communities use bid bonds for the purchasing of vehicles. They're required by state law to use on infrastructure improvement projects, like all the capital improvement projects that we bid out and administer through the engineering division. But they are not required for purchases of this nature or for purchases of vehicles. We have been requiring them or requesting them in our bid advertisements, but by law, they're not required. So with a little bit of lengthy explanation there, I just wanted to explain how we got the recommendation where we did. But we can certainly entertain any or all of the bids, and we can also reject all and rebid the equipment. The only hesitation we would have in doing that is our availability to get on the order list for a vehicle nature could push us back into the next season of vehicle orders. But with that, I'll stand by for any questions.
Thank you very much. May I please get a motion to approve the bid award? Motion made by Councilman Bueller, seconded by Councilman Peters. Let's open it up for discussion. Councilman Peters?
Maybe just clarification on these bid details. It says cashier's check with an amount. What does that amount mean? From like on the cashier's check, it says for like bid number 2 cashier's check $3,985. What does that mean?
City Manager Mack, did you want to answer that?
That's their bid bond.
That's their bid bond. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the bid bonds can come in a form of a cashier's check or other approvable means of financial guarantee, and that's what that's signifying there.
Thank you. Any further discussion, questions? Motion is to approve the bid award. All those in favor will say aye. Opposed, nay. Officer Bobzien?
Okay, Bueller? Danforth?
Aye.
Pauline?
Aye.
Peters?
Aye.
Chetty?
Aye.
Tupper?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Item 9D is an approval of a bid award for a closed captioning TV trailer with accessory equipment to, how would you say that? Q's via HGAC Cooperating Purchasing in the amount of $230,632. Director Von Eye.
Thank you, Mayor. This again is a budgeted item that we are coming in within budget. We thought it was worthy of a regular agenda discussion rather than the consent. It's a unique piece of equipment used by the wastewater division of Public Works. As you know, we oftentimes have to video or televise our sanitary sewer lines when we're looking for any kind of obstructions or break in the sewer mains or issues that we're having. That's the prime way that we were able to accomplish some investigatory work on that infrastructure. So our trailer and equipment within it have aged out, and we've budgeted to replace that within the enterprise fund of wastewater division. And through a little bit of research, staff have discovered that HGAC, who's similar to a Sourcewell cooperative purchasing agency, has a setup that is eligible to direct buy from because of their cooperative purchasing agreements that they have. And we're making a recommendation to do so. You'll note this bid award is for that $230,632. We do have ancillary purchases outside of this that aren't required to be bid that relate specifically to the software that is used in that televising, the recording of those videos for our database and our files. So there will be some additional expenditures that we'll be taking out of the budget, but the overall project's still coming within budget. With that, I'll stand by for questions.
Thank you, Director. May I get a motion to approve the bid award? Motion made by Councilman Tupper, seconded by Councilman Shetty. Any discussion, Council? Councilman Shetty.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, just a question, I guess, is it because the technology changes year after year that the 10-year lifespan, would that be kind of be the reasoning for it to, you know, as far as like this equipment we're buying now, is it something in 10 years we can expect this to be replaced again? Or what's the determining factor, I guess, on the lifespan?
I would say that the technology is a component of it. There haven't necessarily been a lot of huge technological advances in this type of equipment the last 10 years. But the primary reason would just be the wear and tear. You know, the equipment after that long, that many, I don't have the stats with me tonight, but it'd be amazing to hear the miles of sewer main that this camera and the cords attached to the camera have been ran through over these last 10 years. But really the wear and tear is another significant purpose for pulling the trigger with needing something new.
Any further discussion? Motion is to approve the bid award. All those in favor will say aye, opposed nay. Officer Bob Zine.
Okay, Bueller. Danforth.
Aye.
Helene.
Aye.
Peters.
Aye.
Shetty.
Aye.
Tupper.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Item 10A is a first reading on the licensing and regulating of security guards. City Manager Mack.
Thank you, Mayor. What we have in front of you tonight is a repeal of Section 12.0 regarding security guards in its entirety. For several years now, the City of Watertown has gone through the exercise of licensing private security guards for different security companies in town. As we have learned over the last several weeks, it takes some significant time to do that. It also is not common. The only community we could find in the area who is licensing security guards is Sioux Falls. We think they have a little different dynamic down there than we do here in Watertown. We are recommending that we repeal this in its entirety. We've visited with police department. They are in support of it as well. We just feel that this is an area that we don't need to have our hands in. And so with that, I would welcome any questions you might have and look forward to the discussion.
It's the first reading, so there's no motion necessary. Let's open it up for discussion. Council? Councilman Tupper.
Maybe not totally regarding security guards, but are we going to be looking at any of the other license factors that we have within the city as far as some of the license we require?
As part of recodification, that'll be a high-level discussion. It may be valuable to just get a collection of all the licenses that we do offer, and then the council can have a discussion if you want us to dive a little deeper.
Yeah, that would be nice to have a list of all of them that we do have, so.
Thank you. I have a question. How many security guards do we have licensed in Watertown?
We have
So
one company right now, but we processed, what, 4 or 5 within the last couple weeks. So they do have officers, security guards that cycle through pretty regularly. So the way that the ordinance works, and this is part of why it seems a little antiquated to us, is if a company hires a security guard directly, if that employee's paycheck comes from, let's say, lumber business number 1, the city does not have anything to do with it. But if lumber business number 1 contracts with security company X, then we are required to license security company X's guards. And it just, I don't know, it just seems a little weird. So we're trying to create some efficiencies, make things a little easier, not only internally, but for the community. And this came up recently, so we thought it was a prime time to bring it up for your discussion.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this? All right, we'll see it back for a second reading. Item 11A is an application for a transfer of a retail malt beverage and South Dakota farm wine license and video lottery license from Chubby's Incorporated to Ted Ronke. And for more information, we'll go to Officer Bob Zine.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Yes, as stated, this will be a transfer, malt beverage with the video lottery. Everything's in order. Notice has been published and fees have all been paid. If there's any questions, I can answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. I will open up a public hearing. Is there anyone here who would like to testify, or online, who would like to testify on this item? I'll close the public hearing and I will accept a motion to approve the transfer. Motion made by Councilman Tupper, seconded by Councilman Peters. Open it up for discussion. Councilman Tupper.
I believe this would be directed at either City Attorney Carrico or John Blank tonight. CPO Bob Zine. I see this is going to be an inactive license. How long can they remain inactive?
Malt beverage is indefinitely. Liquor is 2 years.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, the motion is to approve the transfer. All those in favor will say aye. Opposed, nay. Officer Bob Zine, please call the roll.
Okay, Bueller?
Yes.
Danforth?
Aye.
Helene?
Aye.
Peters?
Aye.
Shetty?
Aye.
Tupper?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Item 11B is a second reading of an ordinance, an amendment to the zoning designation for phases 2 and 3 of Harmony Hill Second Edition from A1 Agricultural District to PUD Planned Unit Development. Director Von Eye.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'll share my screen here to Teams and pull up some maps, as we oftentimes like to reference during a rezone. So this is the second, which would be the final reading for this rezone application. It relates to the project out at Harmony Hill and how they had previously established a Phase 1 portion of their planned unit development, as seen here on this map in the pink color. The areas highlighted in turquoise are what we would be adding to that planned unit development zoning district, and that would help accommodate their phases 2 and 3 of their planned improvements out here at their facilities. Phase 2, we touched on a little bit earlier, had to do with renovations of existing buildings to accommodate childcare needs in the community. And then Phase 3 includes a series of twin homes for senior level living with little maintenance and things, low maintenance and things like that they would provide the services for those living quarters. In the council packet is the written portion of the planned unit development narrative. Every PUD rezone has not only the map associated with it and some of the building layouts, but also a written narrative of what the expectations and plans are for that planned unit development area. This is a more detailed map than the zoning map I just shared, and it shows some of the building layouts for the buildings that do not exist, particularly the senior living twin homes. Many of these buildings over here, if not all of them, I think at least 2 of them do exist, and those would be part of the renovation efforts that that the owners would like to continue to proceed with to fulfill their, the entire planned unit development intentions. There are a couple of future phases of this PUD that are indicated in the plan narrative that are also in the packet. I believe that goes out to phase 5, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it looks like phase 5 it goes out to. And so we would wait to see those come forward at an appropriate time when the owner wishes to. But for right now, they're wishing to expand it to incorporate phases 2 and 3 for the aforementioned reasons. With that, I'd stand by with Community Development Manager Hanton. I believe he's in the crowd, and we can help answer or address any questions.
Thank you. I will open up a public hearing. Would anyone like to testify on this item? I'll close the public hearing, open it up for council action. Can I get a motion to approve the amendment? Motion made by Councilman Danforth, seconded by Councilman Schutte. Let's open it up for discussion, council. I'll actually ask, St. Anne's Daycare, is that, it's not currently out there, is it?
No, that would be part of those, the ongoing discussions that have been ensuing now for several weeks.
So this would be at least zoning it correctly for anything that would happen out there.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Councilman Beeler.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple questions, and I know I brought some of these up at our last meeting. You know, we look at these PUDs, and of course, there's a lot of things they can do differently than they may do on an R1 or an R2. My question is, are we doing anything different as far as lot size, spacing, you know, front yard setbacks, yada, 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 all that stuff, street widths, all those kind of things I think we need to take into consideration. So that's my question. What are we doing different than we would do with an R1, R2 in a similar development?
Director Von Eye?
Yes, thank you. So generally speaking, the applicants in a PUD describe and call out, and I would need to rely on Community Development Manager Hanton to indicate whether or when any anomalies from the normal design standards have been asked to be waived. I do know that for the private streets, or the public streets for that matter, within this planned unit development, they will be required to meet engineering design standards. We have standards for both privately owned roads and roads that are intended to be taken over as public infrastructure. As far as the lot sizes and lot configurations, I can't personally speak too intelligently to that, so I would need to rely on Community Development Manager Hanton to explain any variations in that regard. I would also add that the utilities that are extended throughout a planned unit development, we review those with the design review team, which includes a host of city staff, including Watertown Municipal Utilities. Anything that's not built under a public roadway like we would normally see, we do request that it have hard surface access to it, and we also do request that it be covered in the appropriate utility easements that gives us perpetual access to those utilities for the life of that utility. So the utilities, the engineering, the drainage, all that is all regulated by our engineering design standards and or our subdivision regulations and ordinances. But with that, I'll pass it off to Brandy if she has any additional comments about any requested variations.
Manager Hanton.
All right, thank you, Director Von Eye. So he really summarized it well, and the reason why they're going with the PUD is because really the uses. It doesn't fit into one of the conventional zoning districts like residential or commercial. So that's when you see somebody utilizing a PUD. And the setbacks, though, are consistent with residential districts, and it's just because they're doing this mix of all different uses.
Councilman Beeler?
Thank you, ma'am. I have a couple more questions. Street widths. What are we doing for street widths in the residential areas?
They're called out in the plans, and that's a component that the city engineering division helps review, again, to meet those private or public regulations. So it looks like they're calling out private streets through portions of this PUD. I'll zoom in closely here. You can see this one on the village court. It's labeled as a 28-foot private road. 28 feet is the minimum width requirement in our engineering design standards to accommodate. Mainly what drives that is the accommodation of fire apparatus for, emergency response vehicles having access to facilities within a subdivision. And they're also indicating a, sidewalk, a 5-foot width here at this particular location. I believe within the PUD, there are other public streets, or maybe they're right outside of it. Brandy, do you know with certainty on that?
Yep, everything inside the PUD will be private. So then privately maintained, built to a lesser standard than our typical public infrastructure that the city will maintain. So that is all on the exterior, not within the PUD. There will not be public right-of-ways. Those will be privately maintained.
Thank you. Councilman?
That's all I have for now. Thank you. Thank you.
Any further discussion, questions, comments? Hearing none, the motion is to approve the amendment. All those in favor will say aye, opposed nay. Officer Bob Zine, please call the roll.
Okay, Bueller.
Aye.
Danforth.
Aye.
Pauline.
Aye.
Peters.
Aye.
Shetty.
Aye.
Tupper.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. We're on to item 12A, an approval of a resolution establishing a public infrastructure cost recovery for street sanitary sewer and sidewalk installations for the 2023 10th Avenue Northwest Street Extension Project. Director Von Aye.
Thank you, Mayor. This is to memorialize the public's expense and to help build 10th Avenue and the utilities within it and the sidewalks adjacent to it. This is the 10th Avenue extension west of Highway 20. Recently, the new Dollar General site was developed adjacent to this new street. The building of this street was in part to meet our development agreement terms with Dollar General for their location there, but also, of course, to help support the future building of the street maintenance facility, which would be located to the south of this 10th Avenue extension. Also to note, on the north side of the 10th Avenue extension is a mass of vacant land yet of, I think it's 8-point-some acres remaining that's yet to be marketed and sold for other development. So really what this resolution is doing is memorializing what costs those future landowners will be responsible for to help pay for this infrastructure. It's a little known fact in most communities, but the roads that get built, the water, the sewer that goes under them are absorbed. They're paid for by the developers up front and then absorbed into the lot costs essentially. So everybody's kind of paying their way as they come into a community and build on a lot. Those lots are set up to meet our subdivision regulations, to have all the amenities and public services that we require them to have. So that's no different for the city when we're acting like the developer in this case. And now this is our mechanism by resolution to memorialize our cost recovery of these expenses for our future buyers.
Thank you very much. We'll take a motion to approve this resolution. Motion made by Councilman Bueller. Seconded by Councilman Tupper. So have some discussion on this, council. All right, maybe we will not be having discussion on this item. Since there were no questions or comments, we'll just do a voice vote. All those in favor of approving this resolution, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item 12B is an approval of a resolution, proposed resolution of support for South Dakota Public Assurance Alliance Board Member Adam Karst. We'll go to City Manager Mack.
Thank you, Mayor. The South Dakota Public Assurance Alliance is an organization that the city is a member of. The city serves as the umbrella organization for Watertown Municipal Utilities. Mr. Karst would like to throw his hat in the ring to serve on that board, and in order to do so, he needs this body's support to do that. I would recommend that you encourage his participation.
Thank you, City Manager. I do know that Mr. Karst, I think, is in the back of the room. No? Sorry, okay. Oh, yeah, sorry. I didn't know if you came in alone, Bert, or not, so, yeah. No, I know Adam, I know both of it. I know his daughters. They're the same age as my daughters, so. All right, thank you. Can I get a motion to approve this resolution? Motion made by Councilman Danforth, seconded by Councilman Tupper. Let's have some discussion on this. Anything? All right. All those in, we'll just do a voice vote. All those in favor of the resolution, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item 12C is an approval of a resolution of intent to enter into a ground lease agreement for private hangar space with Blacklist LLC. Director Von Eye.
Thank you, Mayor. Pretty straightforward item here. We have interest in an airplane owner, operator that would like to build a private hangar on our airport grounds. If you recall, some of you have been part of the discussion and the awarding of a contract with Helms to do some design of our private hangar expansion area out at the airport. That private hangar expansion area design is underway, and it'll be a little while here before that design is complete and before we solidify the funding with the feds and the state to help partner with us on that endeavor. There's some grading work, some fencing relocation that has to happen, a little bit of utility work. But until that's done, this interested party wanted to secure a slab of land that they know is theirs when that time is ready for them to come build their private hangar. So that's what this is before you, is the notice of our intent to enter into a lease. We will bring that lease forward at the first meeting in September. We're required by state statute to do a notice of intent to lease ahead of that time if we're entering into a lease that will exceed 120 days and/or an amount exceeding $500. So that's simply what this resolution does, is give the time, date, and place of that lease public hearing, which will be September 3rd at the 5:30 City Council meeting right here at City Hall. And with that, I'll stand by for any questions.
Thank you very much. Can I get a motion to approve this resolution? Motion made by Councilman Schutte, seconded by Councilman Beeler. Any discussion, Council? Councilman Beeler.
Thank you, Mayor. For Assistant City Manager, I got a question in regards to how we determine what that lease amount will be. I mean, if there's real estate involved, if there's property involved in that, how do we do that? Do we look at what we've done in the past for other spots? Is that kind of how we?
We do. We're bound to some degree by FAA regulations. We have to make sure that we're fair and impartial with each and every lease that we execute out on our airport grounds in order to stay in compliance with our grant assurances with all the federal dollars that have gone into our airport. So there are the FAA regulations that we do have to keep that in check with. So what we do to stay fair and impartial is we look at other airports, we see what they're getting for private ground leases, and just make sure that we're not doing something that would be considered unfair or not impartial to the regulations. And that's generally how I would describe that, I guess. I don't know if City Attorney Carrico would add anything to that.
One more question, if I might. Heath, one other question is, why would we sell it versus lease it to them?
So again, that would come down to the FAA regulations. Our airport property is, it's very critical to uphold the city's ownership in that. And again, some of that ties back to our grant assurances. If we start selling off and parting out our airport property, for example, that could leave a huge impact on our grant assurances. We've committed federal dollars for projects for an airport that existed a certain way at a certain point in time, and we got those dollars. So it's important that we uphold the integrity of those circumstances. So the leases are a common way to allow for other parties to use our airport, but not have to, or not in lieu of being able to sell them a portion of that land.
Thank you. Any further discussion? The motion is to approve the resolution of intent. All those in favor will say aye. Officer Bob Zine, please find out how we vote.
Okay. Bueller. Danforth.
Aye.
Pauline.
Aye.
Peters.
Aye.
Shetty.
Aye.
Tupper.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Item 12D is an approval of a resolution intent to enter into a lease agreement with Magic LLC for city-owned real estate property. City Attorney Carrico.
Thank you, Mayor. The current owner slash leasee of Thunder Road is looking to not do that anymore, and so Magic is looking to come in and continue the operations of Thunder Road. As you know, Thunder Road, the original lease was from 1996. I could not determine if a resolution of intent was done at that time, which would identify the renewal. This is actually an assignment that you'll be getting the following week or at the next council meeting. It would be an assignment of the current lease, and then because the circumstances have changed so much, given that at that time the original lease was in place, the building hadn't even been built. So there's a lot of provisions in the lease that need to be revised now that it's really more just operational. And so in the process of getting that renewed, we felt it prudent to do the resolution of intent to lease, given the new party and what I'm going to call probably some, substantial revisions in the lease terms. The Park and Rec Director Roddick and I have met with the entity and the owners multiple times, and now we're in the process of just fine tuning that and going through staff to make sure we're all on the same page, and then we'll be presenting it to you all at the next council meeting. But again, we are doing this resolution of intent to comply with state statute. Any other questions? I'd be happy to try and answer them.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve this resolution of intent? Motion made by Councilman Bueller, seconded by Councilman Danforth. Open it up for discussion. Councilman Danforth.
Ms. Carrico, I'm not sure I understand. I understand the lease and everything, but we own the land.
Correct.
Originally, did we pay for the building and everything that's on top of the land? Or did the original owners do that?
My understanding from the lease, I believe they were taking out funds to assist with the building of it, because part of the deal was that the bank would be able to have some sort of lien on the building and its property until it was paid off, which I think obviously it has been. It's been since 1996.
So who's obligated today to improve it, make repairs?
Right now, they do that in the lease. However, once the lease terminates, the way the language reads, when the lease terminates, all of the building and assets become the property of the city.
So when this group takes over, they will continue because the lease terms are being transferred to them.
Correct.
So any improvements, anything that would happen there are not out of our budget. It would be something they would do as the operators?
Part of our discussions are, do we terminate the lease, which would in part then mean that we would retain the building and the assets. It would be similar to almost like Derby Downs or the ice arena, where now we are leasing it to someone, or I'm sorry, the golf course and or the Derby Downs, where now they are strictly contracting for operations, but they would also be responsible for some improvements, and we would be responsible, as we have been with other city buildings, where it's more, let's say, structural, HVAC, things of that nature, but not the necessarily equipment. In other words, you bust a goat cart, you're going to have to pay for it yourself, the leasee, not us. But something goes wrong with the HVAC, we would come in and assist with that repair.
So as we head into what would be, the second reading of this, or whatever we want to term that, is it possible that if you terminate the lease and start over, that we as a city are going to be subject to costs associated to improvement or repair?
Yes, some. But I'd have to review the original 1996 lease to see if there was any responsibility on the city's part for some of those things. I admit I don't have it all committed to memory.
Okay. Because then I'd be wondering when that's going to happen and where that would come from out of our budget that we would not have planned for.
Correct. Right now, did you have?
I can speak to that specifically. It would be a 2025 budget request. There's nothing anticipated for '24.
I can also add that in the improvements, it would be language that basically says, because we obviously going back to not binding future councils, it would only be, something that was approved by a particular council in a given year. So there's no ongoing commitment or ironclad commitment in a particular year for a particular improvement.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilman Beeler.
Thanks, Mayor. Question. I'm not sure who to direct this at, so I'll send it to our city manager. What is the advantage to us owning that property? Would it be an advantage to us to just sell the whole thing outright? Why are we keeping that?
So there's some particular, we keep it because it brings in revenue. Just the long and the short of it. I can't give you the exact breakdown of it right here. We can get that for you. Selling of city land is not as simple as selling city land. So we'd have to declare it surplus. We'd have to put it out for bid. We may or may not get bids on it. You certainly could. But right now, it does bring in revenue for the city. Even if we do have to reinvest back into the property, it's probably a worthwhile venture right now. And we aren't managing the business of it. So it's our property, and we lease it out. We're the landlord. And so it's relatively hands-off for us.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, the motion is to approve this resolution of intent. All those in favor will say aye. Opposed, nay. Officer Bob Zine, please call the
Okay.
roll.
Bueller?
Aye.
Danforth?
Aye.
Pauline?
Aye.
Peters?
Aye.
Shetty?
Aye.
Tupper?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. We're on to city council member announcements and introduction of topics for future discussion. Councilman Beeler.
Sorry to be such a chatty Cathy this evening. I'm usually so quiet and subdued. However, I do have a question, and this has been going on for, probably before I got on the council. We have the issues with some of the roads throughout the community that have not been developed. And we actually had a committee set up at one time to evaluate that and prioritize areas that we thought we would have to bite the bullet and try to fix up. I'll give one example, be the block stretch on 12th Avenue, or 12th Street, I should say, north of LATI. There's several of those around town that are just going to stay that way in perpetuity unless we do something about it. And I know at one time, and this is probably before some of you folks are on board here, we were actually allocating money in the budget so that every year so that we could use it in that regard. That we could use some of that money. I don't know, do you remember that, Kristen? And it just kind of has gone away. And I wonder if we don't need to review that again, look at that again, and see what we can do moving forward. So I would propose that we put something like that on the agenda for discussion.
City Manager Mack.
Thank you, Mayor. So we have the list of roads that need improvement. We have some associated costs with that. The two options for us to deal with that are to pay it, to go do it, or to assess the costs back to the property owners. My understanding is there's been some hesitancy in the past to assess those costs. I don't know if this council is still averse to that or not. Rather than having a separate discussion about it, it's appropriate to have that at budget time when we bring forward budgetary recommendations on the CIP. I'm not aware of any sort of reserve account for these. So our CFO, if you'd like to speak to that.
Thank you. I do remember, I think it was, I don't know, it's probably been like 7 years ago when we were doing that, and we were setting aside between 100 and 150,000, and then it never really went anywhere. So then that eventually, because it wasn't spent, according to Home Rule Charter, after the 3 years of no use, it just goes away. So that's essentially what kind of happened. Is I think the traction was there to start building it, and then it just kind of stopped. So.
Was that a restricted account?
No, it was just within the budget. It was just budgeted dollars each year. Yep.
Councilman Beeler?
Just another comment. I think that either they're going to be that way in perpetuity, because we've probably looked at other means of financing those those improvements, and I don't see it happening. And I really do think, and I know it would cost a ton of money to do all of them, but like I said, we had a whole roadmap, we had a committee, we met several times, and then it just died on the vine. But we identified roads that we prioritized that we felt that would make sense for us to bite the bullet and finance the improvements on those roads. So I would like to see us look into that again. Thanks.
Councilman Tupper?
I do remember that also, and it was at $150,000 a year, but I don't remember what happened to that project neither, but we had identified, oh God, I'm going to guess probably half a dozen stretches of road in town that we were going to look at, so.
City Manager Mack?
I'm going to put our city engineer on the spot, and I'm sorry to do this to you, but that stretch that Councilman Bueller's talking about, just off the top of your head, do you have a cost estimate? No. Can you get it for us? That would be very helpful. The point with that is 100,000 here, 150,000 there is helpful, but when we're talking about millions of dollars worth of road repair, it's going to take a long time to build up any kind of restricted fund to do that.
One more
Councilman
comment, if
Beeler?
I might. Thank you, Mayor. I think it's been a long time, too, since we've had discussions with some of the owners, the adjacent owners to some of those streets and avenues. And I think it might be a good idea for us to review that, to see if there would be some sort of propensity to do that, to move forward with some of those projects. Because I bet it's been a dozen years since we probably had a conversation with a lot of those people. And so, we maybe need to explore that. But we have a decision to make. I know it's gonna cost some money, but maybe we take it off a bite at a time. At least we're doing something moving forward. Otherwise, they're just gonna be that way forever. So I think we really need to rethink about what we're doing there. Thanks.
Councilman Shoddy?
Yes, on the same topic, similar topic is we're having a fund, kind of putting money aside. Was there a fund back in the day for alleyways as well? One time someone had told me that we used to do years ago.
We set a budget forward for that.
Yeah, please, and please speak into the microphone. City Manager Mack?
So there's, just to provide some clarity, so we set a budget. So this year, we want $100,000 to go towards alleys. If it's not spent, those dollars can be carried over for up to 3 years. After 3 years, they go back into the general fund. That is not the same as setting up a restricted account. So if this body desired to set up a restricted account, we want to put X amount of dollars into this restricted account every year until we hit X, and then we're going to use those dollars for Y. Then those dollars stay reserved for that. Whether it's improving the roads in town or the alley fund, there have not been restricted accounts set for that. And that's not to say that future councils couldn't take action to say, well, previous council wanted to spend those dollars on this, and we want to spend it on that. It is a more secure way to build up a savings account, if you will, for some of these projects. But we're talking about two different things. We're talking about the budgeted dollars and then potentially creating restricted accounts. I don't know if that helps at all.
Councilman Shoddy?
Yeah, just so currently we're looking at $100,000, or you just use that as a number.
That's just a number. The road improvements that we've been talking about, that was a budget number that was included in the budget, 6 or 7 years ago. According to our finance officer, it's not been included in recent years. Those dollars have been allocated for other projects.
So yeah, similar with this, with what Councilman Bueller brought up, just the alleyways, make sure if there's a way to consider, because there are some that are getting, I know some in my older part of town where I live that needs some addressing, and I know they try to fill the potholes, but is there something we can do to pigeonhole some money and try and do a few alleyways a year, I believe we used to do something like that, so I just want to keep that on the radar along with the same topic here.
We did have a concerted effort on the downtown alleys, I believe. That started just a little bit before my time, and I think we're close to wrapping that up, if I remember correctly. We've got 2 left, two downtown alleys left to do.
Councilman Danforth.
Thank you. If we're going to have that discussion, I think one of the things we have to throw into there, because they are somewhat similar, there is the old half road scenario that we have on certain parts of town. And in every time that we've had that, they just create a problem. They create a problem trying to get the right-of-ways if we don't have it secured in the first place, and how do we bear the cost? Because some of them are very significant. Northeast Watertown, that half road up on, is that 14th Northeast? That's a big section of road, and it's problematic. It's problematic for a lot of reasons. There's a lot of traffic up there right now. We had one. We have one by Jefferson School that we're trying to go through. I believe we had another one out, was it near Derby Downs or something, Heath or something? There's another one out there somewhere. There's another one that we've talked about historically, but at least let's throw that discussion in and is there something that we can do or should do to eliminate the issues that ultimately come from the quote-unquote half roads or half streets? Just to throw that in with the whole shebang.
Thank you. Any further discussion on that item, Councilman Tupper?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that one on 12th Street. Here's the problem that I see with it. And part of the problem that happened last time is because on that street there's very little bit of curb and gutter, but to fix that one block that isn't paved, it's halfway curb and gutter, half it isn't. So the people on the south end of that have no curb and gutter, and the south end is facing their side yard. So when they looked at the frontage cost, it was extremely high. So then you got to decide, where do you demand curb and gutter? Do you bite the bullet on some of these old roads that have just never been done and just put in a road without curb and gutter? In front of my house has no curb and gutter, so, and I would say the majority of that 6-block area does not. So, like I say, do you bite the bullet and allow it just to be done without curb and gutter? You got to decide those facts. So,
thank you. Any further discussion on that topic? All right, on to a new topic. Councilman Peters.
I'm going to totally change the subject on you here. So I got reached out to by a constituent last week, it was, regarding campers in the driveway. So this particular couple was fined $140 because they had their camper in the driveway loading it. And I guess my question would be is, what is the ordinance? And I didn't have time to look it up, my apologies. How long can somebody have a camper in their driveway loading it temporarily before they're fined?
We can have our Assistant Chief Remmers and put him on the spot as well. My understanding with the ordinance, though, is that there's actually not a time limit. It's that this particular camper was blocking the sidewalk.
Assistant Chief?
Yeah, Ryan Remmers. If we are talking about the same incident that I am aware of, that's probably, I think City Manager Mack is correct. It was blocking the sidewalk. And if I remember correctly, it was not being loaded at the time. I would be really surprised, I can't say this with 100% certainty, but none of this is probably code enforcement, falls under the police department. We would not normally issue a ticket if somebody's actively loading the camper. I suspect, I don't want to say somebody's not being straight with you, but there's a good chance that they weren't actively loading the camper and it had been there for some time. But we might be talking about a different incident too. But normally we would have some grace for somebody loading or unloading a camper.
Okay. Thank you. Just want to bring it up.
Thank you. Councilman, anything else? I'd just like to circle back on the daycare topic. I'm not going to formulate a committee yet, but I will say that I have been active in almost all of the meetings, and we have Mallory Towell with the city who has been working a lot on that, but it's not just been limited to us two and City Manager Mack as well. But Councilman Peters has kind of been drafted in on this simply because he's the only one with children of an age that need daycare. But if any other councilman wants to sit in on some of the meetings, there's a lot more that are going to be coming up. But you can contact me on that and let me know. As I said, we need a team and we need partners to figure out the solution, and more minds on the council can help. So just let me know if you're interested in that. Any further discussion, council, on new items? All right, City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a few updates. You may notice that the road outside City Hall has been shut down. We've started on some utility work for the City Hall project. It's scheduled to be shut down, weather pending, for the week. We've also, if we haven't started, we'll be starting very soon the improvements out at the landfill that you all approved earlier this year. And a reminder that we have a work session next Wednesday, starting at 4 p.m. at the Police Department Community Room.
All right.
4 p.m.
We do have a reason to go into executive session for litigation. And we will not be taking any action when we come out of it. Therefore, do I take a motion to adjourn afterwards?
After.
Okay. But I do need a motion to go into executive session. Motion made by Councilman Peters, seconded by Councilman Danforth. All those in favor of going into executive session, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. We're going to go into executive session. Just have a very, very brief break while some of the people leave the room. And I just wanted to say good night and God bless you, Watertown. And we're in executive session, so.